My parents took my $85,000 college fund and gave it to my cousin for Harvard, so I took notes, and what came next exposed everything they tried to bury. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. I always trusted my parents, especially Mom. She kept a ledger with every cent I earned from tutoring. Birthday checks, even babysitting money. It's all for your future, she'd say. But after I overheard Aunt Maria whispering about Haley's Ivy League dream, something shifted. Mom locked the ledger in her room. That night, I stayed up coding instead of crying. It was the first version of my tutoring platform, and my first act of quiet defiance. Dad always echoed, "Family comes first." I believed him, until he handed me a printed college rejection letter. "Community college is more realistic," he muttered. The letter wasn't even addressed to me. Haley smirked from the kitchen, sipping my favorite coffee mug. That night, I deleted every photo of us from my phone. Then I emailed Patrick, my app CompC teacher, and asked if he knew anyone looking for a tech intern. He replied in minutes. Haley flaunted her Harvard merch like she'd earned it. Aunt Maria bragged about the Dalton family's sacrifice for legacy. I smiled and nodded at dinner, but every night, I was coding features, fixing bugs, and watching user counts climb. Patrick let me use his garage as an office. "You're building something bigger than they'll ever understand," he said. When I hit 100 paying subscribers, I didn't celebrate. I just backed up my database twice. Haley posted a story at a yacht party. Caption, "Thanks fem unk." That yacht was paid with my education. I clenched my phone so hard the screen cracked. Patrick handed me an old MacBook. "Use this until we can buy better," he said. I upgraded the site's backend that night. At family brunch, Mom said, "Haley's under so much pressure." I asked, "Does pressure cost 85 grand?" Silence. Aunt Maria sipped her mimosa like it was a threat. One morning my laptop wouldn't start, a message flash drive corrupted. I froze, every line of code gone. I'd backed up, but it felt like sabotage. Patrick raised an eyebrow. "Did you give anyone access?" Haley had borrowed my charger, nothing else still. I changed every password. That night, I found a note slipped under my door. "Stop obsessing, it's creepy." No signature, just the scent of Aunt Maria's perfume, lingering in the hallway. I didn't sleep. At Haley's Harvard send-off, Aunt Maria toasted the next generation of brilliance. Jen nodded like she'd quoted Einstein. I stayed quiet. My subscriber base hit 500. I started recruiting tutors, designing lesson plans. When I mentioned it at dinner, Mom smiled awkwardly. "It's just a phase, honey." That word stung more than any insult. After dessert, I found my tablet missing. Haley had it, "Just borrowing for Spotify," she said. I wiped it remotely. No risks now. Patrick asked if I wanted to demo my platform at a local EdTech expo. I said yes without hesitation. At dinner, I shared the news. Aunt Maria scoffed. "A booth acute." Haley added, "That's like a lemonade stand, right?" I nodded, "Sure, but I make $6,000 a month now." The room went still. Dad dropped his fork. "Come on." Blinked. Maria's smile twitched. That night, I received an email: expo reservation cancelled. "Sender?" "My mom." I confronted Mom. She claimed the expo was too distracting. I said, "You mean threatening?" Her eyes welled up. "We did it for Haley." I walked out mid-sentence. Patrick rescheduled the expo demo at a private event with investors. We printed flyers. Built a pitch deck. I wore a blazer I thrifted for $8. "You look like a CEO," he said. My hands trembled, but my voice didn't when I pitched. The room applauded. I didn't look back. The family gathered for Thanksgiving. I arrived late, dressed sharp. Holding my laptop, Haley rolled her eyes. Aunt Maria smirked. "Still playing tech, girl?" I opened the laptop and cast my pitch video to the TV, edited to include revenue, testimonials, and a headline: "Local teen tech founder disrupts tutoring." Mom gasped. Dead stared. Aunt Maria choked on her wine. Haley whispered, "Wait, is this real?" I replied, "More real than your tuition receipt." No one laughed. After dinner, Aunt Maria cornered me. "You're being vindictive," she hissed. I smiled. "No, I'm being successful." She leaned in. "Without family, you're nothing." I stepped back. "Family didn't fund Harvard, my money did." Haley watched, silent. Patrick texted, "Investor wants to meet." I replied, "Tomorrow 9 a.m. Aunt Maria sneered. "We'll see how far you get." I locked eyes. "We already have 50 schools on board." How far did Haley get? Her silence was answer enough. Back home, Mom knocked on my door. "You embarrassed us." I turned. "No, I exposed the truth." She trembled. "We thought you'd just get over it." I opened my laptop and showed her the spreadsheet: every expense, every investor email. "This isn't spite, it's structure," she whispered. "We needed Haley to succeed." I replied, "So you sacrificed me?" She didn't answer. That silence became my closure. I slept soundly for the first time in months. The investor meeting wasn't in a cafe, it was a penthouse. Patrick and I presented everything. The investor leaned back, smiled, and said, 10% for 300,000. I nodded slowly. "We'll consider it." As we left, Patrick grinned. We just got our first real offer. I stared at the skyline. This isn't revenge anymore. It's empire building. Back at home, Dad asked if I needed help with taxes. I said, "You've helped enough. Sit this one out." 2 weeks later, I received a letter audit notice. The ERS flagged suspicious withdrawals tied to my college fund. Aunt Maria had routed the money through 3 accounts. I sent the letter to a lawyer I'd met at the expo. "Can we report this anonymously?" I asked. He nodded. "Absolutely." That night, Haley texted, "They're freaking out." "What did you do?" I replied. "Just ask questions. You should try it sometime." She didn't respond again. The ERS launched a full inquiry. Aunt Maria's assets were frozen. Haley withdrew from Harvard personal reasons. She posted, "Mom cried in the kitchen. They're coming after all of us." I stirred my coffee. "Maybe they should." Patrick called. "New contract, a public school district wants in." I smiled. "Let's scale." That night, Dad knocked gently. "We made mistakes." I said, "I built something despite you." He nodded. "We know and we're sorry." For once, it felt real. Judith left a check on my desk, partial repayment, it read. I didn't cash it. Instead, I slid it into my filing cabinet. Haley knocked. "I want to learn real skills," she said. "No shortcuts." I gave her a trial account on the platform. "Earn your badge," I said. Later, I added a resilience module. Patrick laughed. "You're a machine." I shrugged. "Machines get things done." That night, I reread the apology letter and didn't delete it. Patrick and I pitched at a state ed tech conference. We landed a speaking slot last minute right after a Google rep. Nerve-wracking, yes, but the applause after our talk was louder. A school superintendent asked, "Where did this idea come from?" I answered, "Betrayal and necessity." They offered a statewide pilot. Aunt Maria emailed, "We're selling the house. Happy now?" I didn't reply. Instead, I sent Haley a copy of our pilot contract. She replied, "Proud of you." Aunt Maria's house went on auction. Mom didn't attend. Dad said she brought this on herself. I stayed home, updating code. Haley messaged me, "Can I help with I signed her bugs, minor ones, but she delivered." Slowly, she became less snark, more substance. Patrick noticed, "She's different." I nodded. Pain changes people. A local paper featured me as the girl who didn't wait. I framed the article, not for vanity but proof. I made it, alone then together. Just as I planned a celebratory break, a user review flagged plagiarism, identical content on a new site. Patrick investigated. Someone had cloned our platform branding, structure, even testimonials. The domain was registered under a shell LX traced back to a familiar name, HJ Legacy. My blood ran cold. "Haley," I confronted her. She looked stunned. "I swear I didn't." I checked the legal owner, Aunt Maria. She'd stolen the code Haley accessed during CA. My platform was under attack. Patrick filed an intellectual property claim, but Maria's clone site gained traction fast. I had 72 hours before a major district review. Haley begged me to let her fix it. "Let me help," she said. I hesitated, then handed her the legal logs and server trails. She worked overnight. Next day, we presented evidence of code theft and defamation. The review board froze Maria's site. Haley testified, "She stole it from my cousin. This woman built it alone." News of the takedown spread fast. An ed tech blog featured our case as David versus Data Thief. I expected Maria to disappear. Instead, she doubled down, filing a countersuit claiming Haley and I framed her. Haley cried in our office. "She's turning this on me." I reassured her. "We'll win with facts." Patrick compiled screenshots, timestamps, and server logs. I recorded a statement video, calm, sharp, undeniable. The internet sided with us. Maria's comments section? Brutal silence. A court date was set. Haley testified again, this time in a blazer and no makeup. "She used me," she said, voice steady. Maria smirked from the defense table. Our lawyer presented side-by-side code samples identical. The judge asked, "Why use a fake LX?" Maria shrugged. The courtroom murmured, "Verdict guilty of IP theft. Fine 6 figures." As we walked out, Maria hissed, "You destroyed me." I replied, "No, you did that when you stole my future." The day after the ruling, media requests flooded in. I declined most but agreed to a podcast called Founders After Fire. I spoke calmly. "They stole my tuition, so I built my own path." The host asked, "Do you forgive them?" I paused. "A forgiveness is earned." That clip went viral. Haley shared it with a heart emoji. Maria deleted all her social profiles. Mom stopped bringing her up. Dad started using words like proud. I didn't correct him. A surprise arrived, an invitation to speak at a tech summit in DC. I hesitated. Patrick said, "Your story deserves a bigger room." Haley offered to cover support tickets while I traveled. I agreed. At the summit, I stood on stage under a massive spotlight. "I built this because I was told I couldn't." Applause thundered. That night, Avach emailed me, "Let's talk series A." I replied, "Next week." I wasn't just surviving, I was scaling now. On my return, Patrick surprised me. "You've been nominated for Young Innovator of the Year." I blinked. "That's it, unreal." Haley threw a mock party with streamers from the dollar store. She even baked cookies burnt, but endearing. You're a big deal now, she teased. I looked at her different from the girl on that yacht. Humbled trying, I nodded. Let's make sure we all win. In my inbox another contract, another district. Growth wasn't a goal anymore, it was default. Late one night Mom called. There's a reunion coming, people ask about you, I replied. Let them Google me. Silence then. I was wrong, her voice cracked. I see that now. I didn't say, I forgive you. Instead I said, I hope you show up. At the reunion, she did, wearing my platform's pin. A cousin asked, doesn't Haley go to Harvard? Mom answered, yes, but Veronica built Harvard's competition. That was the only apology I ever needed. The series of meeting felt surreal. Leather chairs, espresso machines, suits with curated stubble. The lead investor asked, where do you see this in 5 years? I answered, replacing outdated learning globally. They nodded. You've got fire. I signed the term sheet that night. Haley popped champagne. Patrick cried just a little. Dad mailed me my birth certificate with a sticky note. We should have believed earlier. I framed it beside my incorporation papers, proof of rebirth both ways. An anonymous package arrived inside. The original ledger. Every dollar I'd saved, every note Mom ever wrote beside deposits. A post-it stuck on top. I kept it safe. I'm sorry. No name, no return address. I knew it was Mom. I scanned every page into our archive, tagged it Legacy. Original, then I locked it in a fireproof safe. Some things deserve preservation, not revenge. Patrick asked what it meant. I smiled. That I earned everything, down to the penny. One of our earliest students emailed, I aced my set because of you. I read it aloud. Haley teared up. Patrick said, this is bigger than all of us now. We launched a scholarship fund. Haley suggested naming it after Grandma Ruth, the only person who never picks sides. We did. Donations poured in, even some from former skeptics. I got a handwritten note from a former teacher. You taught us what real education looks like. I framed that too. We were invited to partner with a tech accelerator. Big names, bigger checks. I almost said no. Patrick said, this is the level up. Haley added, you're ready. At demo day I spoke last. I started with nothing. My family chose someone else. So I chose myself. Standing ovation, investors swarmed. I picked 3 women-led firms. One whispered, we needed this win too. As I signed the contracts, I thought, not bad for someone who got her future stolen. We launched our mobile app. Within hours, it hit the top 10 in education. I barely reacted, just kept refreshing the back end. Patrick danced around the office. Haley made a cake shaped like the app icon. You're officially too big to ignore, she grinned. Even Dad downloaded it. Works fast, he admitted. I smiled. So did your betrayal. He didn't flinch, trying to fix that bit by bit. I let him keep the app. Small steps mattered now. I visited my old high school to guest speak. The auditorium was packed. I spotted my younger self in so many faces. No one hands you the future, I told them. You build it. Afterward, a girl handed me a sticky note. It read, you made me feel seen. I carried it in my wallet. Later Mom framed a screenshot of the school's Instagram post, our alum changed education. It hung above the family fireplace. Irony maybe. At a startup roundtable, someone asked, what's your biggest regret? I answered, letting people doubt me for so long. Kaylee nodded across the room. Patrick added, now she lets results speak. We closed our biggest contract yet, statewide deployment across California. That night, I stood on my apartment's rooftop, phone in hand, watching the stars. No tears, just breath, just space. Haley texted, proud of us. Patrick added, next stop global. I replied, we're just getting started. An EdTech summit in Europe invited us as keynote. I flew out with Patrick, leaving Haley in charge. The venue was stunning, glass dome, global flags. I spoke about building from betrayal. After, a girl from Poland hugged me. My dad stole my scholarship fund. I needed to hear this. I nodded, speechless. On the flight home, I scrolled through our platform's map. Pins lit up worldwide. Betrayal had no borders. Neither did resilience, nor my company now. A documentary crew approached us. Women who rebuilt, they said. Patrick was camera shy. Haley lit up. I agreed. Filming took weeks. They interviewed my parents. Dad confessed. We underestimated her. Mom whispered. She scared us. How powerful she became. I watched footage of myself coding at 2 and Emma, eyes burning. The premiere was small but every seat filled. Afterward, a stranger hugged me. I left my toxic job because of you. That moment meant more than headlines. We hit 1 million users. The dashboard blinked. Confetti graphic firing. I stared, speechless. Haley screamed. Patrick brought out cheap sparkling juice. To betrayal. He toasted, and bouncing back. Even Aunt Maria through a legal rep sent a statement. I hope she uses it wisely. I deleted the email. Later, I added a new feature to the platform, an AI mentor named Very. It answered, it guided, it listened, just like I needed back then. like I'd become now. A financial magazine named me in their 30 under 30. The photo shoot felt surreal. Hair, makeup, lights, Haley said, smile like you already own the world. Patrick whispered, she does. When the issue hit stands, my mom bought 10 copies for the cousins, she said. One copy landed in our old family album between toddler photos and prom night. A quiet message: we were rewriting legacy, page by page, with code, courage, and the audacity to rebuild. Patrick pulled me aside. We've been offered acquisition. A tech giant. 9 figures, life-changing. Haley asked, what do you want? I looked at the whiteboard. Covered in student feedback. Not this, not yet. We declined. Instead, we expanded: new languages, accessibility upgrades. Our impact deepened, not just success, substance. Mom finally said, you scare me, but in a good way. I replied, that's what potential feels like. She nodded. For once, she wasn't afraid of what I could build. We launched a free tier for underfunded schools. A demand exploded. Haley led onboarding. Patrick managed analytics. I coded late into the night until my wrist ached, but I kept going, because somewhere, a girl like me was logging in. You gave me hope, one message said. I pinned it on our Slack. Dad offered accounting help again. I accepted. Slowly, we became a team. Not the family I lost, but the one I forged. With code, with grit, with clarity. One night, I visited our old neighborhood, stood outside the house where it all started, the window where I'd once cried. Dark now. A new family moved in. Kids laughed inside. I smiled, left a thank you card in the mailbox. Your walls built me, I wrote. As I walked away, I didn't feel bitterness, just closure. Back at Huck, Haley had updated our motto: we turned setbacks into skill sets. I nodded. It wasn't just business, it was truth. An alumni board invited me to speak. Same college I was denied for. Haley. The irony wasn't lost. I wore my platform hoodie. No degree, no problem. I joked, but the dean laughed. Your resume speaks louder. Haley sat front row, beaming. Patrick filmed it all. Later, a girl whispered, they rejected me too, but you gave me another option. I nodded. This was bigger than college now. This was about rebuilding doors they once slammed shut on us. During a live street Q&A, someone asked, if you could change one thing. I paused. I'd have protected my code earlier. Comments flooded and same happened to me. It hit me I wasn't alone. Betrayal wasn't unique, but neither was survival. We added new lessons to the platform on intellectual property, digital boundaries, and ethical contracts. Haley recorded the module intro. Her voice shook. This one's personal. When it launched, we titled it, What They Wouldn't Teach You in School. We partnered with a nonprofit to bring our platform to girls in shelters. Haley cried during setup. They remind me of us before everything. One girl asked, did you really get betrayed like that? I nodded. But I built past it. They clapped. Not polite, real. Later, Haley said, this is what matters most. I agreed. Money scaled us, betrayal fueled us, but impact, that's what rewrote everything, including who we were, and who we'd never be again. One user hacked our platform not to break it, but to leave a message: you saved my sister's life. Haley panicked at first. I read it twice, stunned. What now? Patrick asked. We make it safer. I replied. We built an emergency toolkit: crisis lines, mentorship links, trauma resources. Haley named it Veronica Mode. I laughed. That sounds dramatic. She grinned. So are you, but deep down, I knew she meant something else. Resilience on demand, healing coded, a rival platform launched, mimicking our features. But something was off tone. Ethics, price hikes, reviews slammed them. Users returned in droves. One comment stood out: feels like betrayal wrapped in branding. I smiled. They got it. We dropped a free upgrade for all loyal users. Patrick said, it's your story again, stolen, then reclaimed. Haley added, let them copy. They can't recreate your scars. True, my scars weren't weaknesses, they were watermark signatures, inked in resilience. A major publication asked for an exclusive profile. I agreed only if Haley and Patrick were included. The headline read, she was denied college, so she built one. I laughed. Mom framed it. Maria's name was nowhere. Her silence became her legacy. At the interview, they asked, what drives you now? I replied, no one will ever take another girl's future if I can help it. That line ended up on a billboard, across from Harvard's front gate. At a charity gala, I met a senator's aide. Your platform changed my niece's life, he said. We discussed grants, policy expansion. Haley stood beside me, not as a cousin but Patrick handled press. I looked around and saw it clearly: power shifted, once taken from me, now built by me. After the gala, Mom whispered, you outgrew us. I replied gently, I outgrew who you thought I'd be. She didn't argue, she just held my hand. I bought the building where Patrick once let me code in his garage, converted it into our Huck at the ribbon cutting. He choked up. Full circle, he said. Haley led a tour for interns. I stood alone for a moment, hand on the old garage door. It still had my initials etched in marker. Beneath them, someone, maybe Patrick, had written, worth it. I added one more word below always. Legacy wasn't what I inherited, it's what I built. Haley hosted a podcast episode titled Reclaiming Your Story. She interviewed me. What would you tell that girl watching her cousin take everything? I answered, document everything, trust your gut, build anyway. Haley nodded, voice cracking. I wish I'd seen it then. I squeezed her hand. You see it now? The episode trended, listeners emailed. One line repeated, I'm building anyway. That became our next ad campaign. Not slick, not branded, just true, just powerful. Like us. The final user milestone ticked over 10 million learners. I stared at the screen, numb. Haley burst in with cupcakes. Patrick played a remix of our launch theme. I didn't cry, I just said, we did it. Dad called. We're proud, truly, Mom added. No qualifiers this time. I thanked them, not because they earned it but because I had. 10 million users, one betrayal. Infinite proof that you can rise higher than the future they stole from you. I watched Haley lead a team huddle, confident, clear. Once, she'd borrowed my charger without asking, now she powered our marketing division. I felt something rare, pride, not revenge. Patrick nudged me. You changed her. I shook my head. She chose to change. The old hurt still existed, but it no longer steered me. I opened our mission statement and rewrote the last line. We don't just learn from pain, we build from it. Haley, read it. Finally true. Patrick gave me my first pay stub, $0. I framed it. Proof we started from nothing. I joked, he replied, and earned everything. At a conference, someone asked if I'd ever fully healed. No, I said. But I stopped bleeding onto people who didn't cut me. Haley teared up backstage. That line of that's yours forever. I looked at her steady now, not shaken, not my rival. My reminder of what forgiveness can look like, of what resilience became. We received a letter from a school in Alaska. Students had painted our logo on their gym wall. This isn't just a platform, it's a movement. Their principal wrote. I stared at the photo, snow outside, hope inside. Haley whispered, they believe. Patrick smiled, because you did first. I felt the weight of what we'd built, bigger than money, louder than past silence. That wall wasn't just paint, it was permanence. And for the first time, I exhaled fully. I revisited the first version of our platform, Broken You, clunky code. I smiled that chaos had saved me. I showed it to new hires. This is where we started, Haley added. And where she refused to quit. Patrick raised a toast at our retreat to every bug, breakdown, and betrayal. Thanks for the back end. We laughed. But it was true. My worst moments weren't detours, they were data points. And we debuted them into something real, repeatable, and redemptive. An intern once asked, what was your biggest pivot? I didn't say scaling. I didn't say lawsuits. I said, choosing to keep building even when they chose someone else. Haley nodded. That moment changed all of us. She wasn't wrong. That pain planted our first seed. Patrick added, some build out of hope, others out of spite. You did both. Maybe that's why it worked, because our foundation wasn't perfect, it was personal, and that made it powerful. We launched a mentorship program. One girl asked, did your parents ever say sorry? I replied, eventually. She sighed. Mine won't. I handed her my old ledger. Then write your own ending, she cried. I didn't comfort her. I handed her a pen. Haley watched, then whispered, that's what you did for me, Patrick added. And for yourself. I nodded. Healing didn't mean forgetting, it meant forwarding. We don't erase pain, we build scaffolding on top of it, stronger. At an all-hands meeting, I shared one final slide, a photo of me at 17, before it all unraveled. This girl didn't get what she deserved. I said, so we built it ourselves. Silence, then applause, not polite, but personal. Haley hugged me. Patrick whispered, we never needed a boardroom. We needed a battleground. And we'd won, not through bitterness, but building, not by begging for a seat, but designing the whole table. Then leaving it unlocked, Aunt Maria declared bankruptcy. Haley offered to help, strictly professional. Maria declined. I burned that bridge, Haley replied, and we rebuilt the highway. The press picked it up. Comments praised the grace, not the fall. That felt like justice, quiet. Cold but clean. Patrick said, we didn't destroy her, she did. I added, and we didn't have to become her. That was the win, not revenge, but restraint, not punishment, but progress. Maria faded. Our legacy only sharpened. We hosted our first global summit. Schools from 27 countries joined. One girl flew from Nairobi. You made me believe coding was for girls, she said. Haley cried. A Patrick toasted. I spoke last. We started with a stolen future. Now, we lend ours. The crowd stood. A cameras flashed, but none of it mattered more than her words. Backstage, I told Haley, this is what legacy looks like. She nodded. Not bloodline, blueprint, and we'd drawn it well. Patrick retired. You don't need me anymore. He smiled. We threw a rooftop party. Haley made a slideshow. I gave him a plaque. Garage mentor. Global impact, he cried. I didn't. I just held his hand. You saw me before I did, he replied. You made me believe again. That night, I coded alone, just like the beginning. Not from pain this time, but gratitude. Legacy isn't titles, it's ripple effects, and Patrick's started the whole damn wave. We opened our first physical learning hub, painted murals, tech labs, couches with chargers. A girl walked in and gasped, "I've never seen a place that looks like this, feels like this." I replied, "Because no one thought you'd need one." She smiled. Haley whispered, "We built what we needed." I nodded. Not for headlines, for her, for us, for the ones never chosen, always charging forward anyway. In that space, they weren't behind, they were home. At a media panel, someone asked, "What's the one thing no one saw coming?" I said, "That I'd still be kind." Haley added, "That she'd hire the cousin who replaced her." I laughed. "I didn't hire her, she earned it." The audience applauded. Mom sat front row, wiping tears after. She whispered, "You scare me in all the right ways." I replied, "Good. Shane should end this." This wasn't a comeback. It was a complete system rewrite. On our platform's anniversary, we held a live stream, 10 million users, one founder, one origin story. I wore my old hoodie, held up the original ledger. "This was my beginning." I said, "But it doesn't define your end." Messages poured in from teens, teachers, parents. Haley read them all aloud, a voice breaking. Patrick sent a photo from retirement, the first server, now in a glass case. I whispered, "We kept building, and that more than money was the legacy." Now, from my corner office, sunlight pouring in, I watch Haley train our new interns, young, eager, unbroken. They don't know my whole story. They don't need to, because the platform they log into each day was coded with every scar, every silence, every no-turn blueprint. That's enough. I sip my coffee, open a notebook, and start sketching our next feature. Because we're not done. Betrayal began my story, but building, that's how it always continues. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.